And joining us on this broadcast as there are developments in the Delhi High Court, some heated arguments, and the order has been posted for Tuesday. But the larger debate continues on the shoot and scoot practice that's being now witnessed on social media. Joining us on this broadcast is Mr. Ryan Karanjewala. Good afternoon, Mr. Karanjewala. Mr. Karanjewala is a top lawyer, also the managing director of Karanjewala and Company. Mr. Karanjewala, going by the observations of the court observed and also asked for some of these tweets to be taken down. But we understand that the so-called activist has refused to do that. I'd like to get your comments first on what has happened in court.
So Niranjan, if you remember, you and I had done an interview a few weeks ago.
Yes.
When I had sent him a legal notice to Saket Gokhale, in which we had stated very clearly that he was clearly in the wrong. He had a chance to make amends, failing which we would see him in court, which is exactly what we did. We filed this yesterday in the Delhi High Court, and it's a suit for 5 crores worth of damages to be paid directly to the PM Cares Fund. The matter came up before Justice C. Harishankar today, who heard the matter patiently and in great depth. Appearing for us was Mr. Maninder Singh, former Additional Solicitor General of the Union of India and a senior advocate, briefed by the team of Karanjewala and Company, Meghna Mishra and others. And the matter was argued at great length. From what I understand from the press and the reporting that is, and what my people have told me, the judge did ask as to whether he would wish to withdraw the tweets. He declined. And so the matter was then heard fully. The judge has reserved orders which will be pronounced on Tuesday.
The arguments on the other side is that, that they are citizens of the country, they have the right to go into the assets of public functionaries. Now, in a debate like this, where does the line draw? I mean, where do you draw the line? And when is it that you cross the line?
The answer, Niranjan, is very simple. Of course, you're a citizen of the country. Of course, you have a right to look at everybody's returns which are filed when he contests for Rajya Sabha, which is what happened with my client's husband when he contested for Rajya Sabha, namely Hardeep Puri. So then the question that arises is, you see certain assets. If you feel that there is something to be commented upon, then you do investigation. You can always, after all, this is something that wasn't filed yesterday in court and had to come up today, and Saket Gokhale had no time to verify his facts. This has been filed, this flat has been purchased in 2006. My client has seen 2 Rajya Sabha elections. So, I mean, his assets have been in the public domain for several years. You can always verify with us and say, look, I see that you have purchased this particular asset. I find that it's a little disproportionate to what should have been your source of income. How do you explain it? We would have explained it. The matter would have been over. He should, according to us, have been satisfied. But he just chose to trigger happily, send out a tweet. Perhaps the timing was political because things were happening. Cabinets, there were rumors of cabinet reshuffle. I don't know. And I'm not attributing motives to him. But something like that. The timing was somewhat like that, and then now he faces the consequences.
Now, that brings me to the next question of something that we touched upon in the last conversation as well. Now, what happens, and we've seen most recently in the case of, let me give you an example of the recent case of the Ghaziabad, what we call the fake hate video, right? Mr. Karanjewala, what happened in that case, I'll tell you. I mean, you're a lawyer, you know the facts better. But we saw that people with verified handles, right, without verifying the facts, they put out content and the damage was done. But they had millions of followers, millions and millions of followers. But while the police was also simultaneously sort of countering them, putting the facts out, the police did not have too many followers on the social media. So, for example, let's say someone has 5 million followers and they put out a fake tweet, a fake claim, a fake video, a fake photo. But somebody with a lesser following and the impact, you see the potential reach of something like this which could damage reputations, coming straight to the point, could be in millions. But the correctional cost is barely reaching a few thousand. So it's a larger debate, isn't it?
Definitely. See, you have to fundamentally understand what social media does. In the old days, if I said something defamatory about somebody, let's go back 25 years or 20 years ago. I said something defamatory about somebody. Now, I could say it in a group of 5 people, nobody would hear me, and 5 people would hear me, the matter would be forgotten. If I chose to make a press statement or release a press statement, then it's up to the newspapers to decide as to whether they want to carry it or not. It's up to the TV channels to decide as to whether they want to carry it or not. And the TV channels, the newspapers have their own system of filtering. People would immediately say, well, this sounds irresponsible. Let's just double check with our legal team and see as to whether this will be stand scrutiny in court or not. Here what happens when you're on social media, when you're on Twitter, on Facebook, every individual is a TV channel, every individual is a newspaper. And there is no filtering system within himself to decide as to what he should say and what he should not say. So here, this is the problem that arises, that he just feels that, and what happens is that as you have a larger and larger viewership, it's somewhat intoxicating. You feel that your voice is more powerful, and sometimes you just tend to shoot something out. And you're absolutely right that by the time the counter comes in the papers and in the counter tweets, it's lost because everybody sees the allegation. Nobody really looks at the rebuttal. So then the only thing to do with that is to either strengthen the defamation laws or give greater teeth. And you have to go ahead and allow people who have been defamed, whose reputation has been tarnished, to go ahead and strongly sue. And I think the time has come where perhaps the court should also decide and see that since a person's reputation is important, in certain cases, these will be part of the cases that should be fast-tracked. So that people know that if a defamation suit against me is filed, it won't take 5 years to come up for hearing. It may come up for hearing in a year. For example, they have already carved out an exception where people are in the public domain, where a person who is a public servant is being prosecuted. There's a fast-track court for that. Now, maybe the time has come where something like that is similarly sought for citizens' redressal by the courts, is given by the courts, so that a citizen who files for defamation has the right to fast-track his case.
In many ways, this could be a watershed moment, and I'll tell you why. Why we feel this judgment, whatever comes on Tuesday, could be landmark. Because we have seen, and in many cases firsthand, people
on
come...
Tuesday, on Tuesday, we're not... Because on Tuesday, you won't get the final hearing.
Okay. You won't get the final hearing.
This will be the first step. It will be the interim landmark. You won't get a final hearing on Tuesday because we have asked for 5 crores in defamation to be paid to the PM CARES Fund.
Right.
That's what we said. If you remember, Niranjan, I said that to you on my earlier interview, and we've repeated that in this petition that we have filed. So that will take a little time. We're not going to get 5 crores to deposit on Tuesday. But the fact still remains that I do feel that these are cases which should be expedited, which should be expeditiously heard. Because the time has come when the judges also recognize that a citizen's honor is an important right.
Yeah. No, and actually, that's the question that I wanted to ask you, and I'll let that be my last question. Because we have seen in the past, Mr. Karanjewala, when people want to slander someone, and I'm not attributing motives, I'm not particularly talking about this case. So let's leave that so-called journalist, so-called activist aside, right? Let's just talk about the larger context. Yeah, let's talk in general, right? Now, we've seen when people want to, and you made a mention of how the timing in this case was particularly very close to the cabinet expansion, right? So let's keep that thought in mind, right? Let's assume if it was targeted.
So I'm not attributing motive. I'm not attributing. One sec, Niranjan. I'm not attributing motives myself. I'm only mentioning the fact that while the flat had been bought in the year 2006, and the returns have been filed on 2 separate occasions years ago, somehow the tweet came out only around the time when the rumor of a cabinet expansion was in the air. That's all I'm pointing out, is for people to assess whether there was a motive or not. Maybe he had no motive. We don't know.
Exactly.
But he certainly defamed my client, and that is why we're in court.